So, please, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Arisa Fukuzaki. She's a GDE and Girl Code ambassador. She practices Aikido, which is a Japanese martial arts, longboard and snowboarding. A fun fact about her, she totally cannot stand zombies. It's not that they scare her, she just cannot get why they are so popular. They are just dead bodies that stink and walk slowly. And they are totally not scientifically accurate. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, she will talk about remix, so please enjoy her talk.
Okay, I think now you can hear me well, right? Awesome, awesome. I see thumbs up. Thanks, Edo, for the fun facts about me. I have one more fun fact about me, but maybe I can keep it for my intro because I don't want to waste any more time. So yeah, morning everyone. Buongiorno. I hope I said correct. Hope you had the good coffee and the breakfast because let me be honest, I'm not a morning person at all. So let's give a try to pretend that I'm kind of trying my best to fit into the morning. But anyway, I'm here for you to share and show how you can remix, means improve your UI and UX to another level with headless CMS. So, as I said before, I kept a little bit of fun fact about me from my side too. So my name is Arisa Fukuzaki. Whenever I give a talk, sometimes I trigger the fire alarm. This already happened 2 times, so let's fingers crossed that this will never happen. Yeah. So I'm originally from Japan, but currently based in Germany. And as Edo already introduced me about pretty much what is written in here, I'm not going to cover too much about it. And you're gonna see anyway what is Storyblok in my talk. So let's skip it. So, but you can follow me on Twitter if you're interested in about what I'm gonna tweet. Mostly technologies, sometimes DevRel stuff. So. To get started, here's what I want to start to, like phrase a bit. So let's think about together, like where we can find UI and UX. So these things are actually in everywhere. And that's something that every single person in this world will see and experience. It's not like something only, like you see in the tech world. For example, like the way to come to Verona, nice, beautiful city. I took the airplane to get to the airport. It wasn't too difficult, and also to discover the nice, beautiful city. City center is just 20 minutes away from here. I was just able to take a quick walk and took a lot of nice photos. Was even able to go discover the nice famous bridge and also the arena. So my, let's say like, first of all, the experience in there was awesome because the hotel receptionist gave me a nice, map over there. So I also had the good UI as well. So from this, you can tell that, okay, UI and UX are something that you also experience even, let's say, like outside of the tech world. But to give you a better idea, why sometimes it drags people to feel like emotional, because you see in here like the happy emoji and the sad emoji. Let's take a look at a little bit of extreme example, which I have experienced in my personal life. So here's the story. A true story lost in an island because of the bad UI and UX. So here a couple of months ago, my boyfriend and I, we decided to discover nice, beautiful, Swedish landscape. And also in the end of our vacation, we wanted to discover 2 to 3 nice, beautiful islands in there because that's one of the to-do things for tourists in there. So we took a ship and got off to the first island. So first of all, we were able to find, like an information center-ish building. That's not too difficult to find. There are a couple of, let's say, information board being displayed, as you can see from this photo. So first thing first, because we wanted to discover 2 more islands in here, because We wanted to take as many as beautiful photos as we can. So it's very important to check out the timetable. Although this timetable is written in Swedish language, which both of us have no idea what is written whatsoever, but the time is written, like everywhere same. It's written universal numbers. So not too difficult. I was able to find, okay, the next ride of the ship should come in 2:46. So we have like about more than an hour or so. Then we even made sure to set alarms on both of our phones, and even to be double, sure, we set alarms 15 minutes before to come back to catch the ship. And we discovered an island, but look what had happened. We were there 15 minutes before, and I saw the ship was approaching, but look at this. I mean, we were just left over. So clearly at this point, I realized that, okay, I missed something very, very important information that I had to pay attention. And I still regret after a few months why I didn't realize, but I'm here to tell you it's not my fault, because they had to provide a better UI first of all. So the thing is that if you have realized for some reason, there's the, I hope, this doesn't work. Yeah, it works. Sorry. If you realize in here, there is a tiny capital T right next to the timetable over there, then for some another reason, if you realize or wonder like, what this capital T stands for, then there's a very, very important information written, like, oh, by the way, you had to give a call 30 minutes before of the departure if you want to get a ride. I mean, like, what? Why is that? I mean, like, it's not a cab, it's a ship. It's a ship. I mean, who has the idea to call a ship? No one, in my opinion. Because usually, like, oh, what is that? I got some glitch over there. Sorry to ruin the fun part. Okay, so literally this is me. Of course I'm unhappy, because if you realize that, oh, gee, there is actually one less ship on that day, it's gonna be like 3 entire hours ahead. And also, for some another information for you, in this island, there's only empty summer houses, no human beings at all, because we went in off season. So who knows if we will survive or not. So this time I made sure to give a call. Thank God someone picked up the call. But yeah, I mean, of course, I'm very unhappy because my phone was almost dying. We didn't bring our food. There is no bathroom to go. So it's survival. So this is my mind, literally. Yes, it drove me crazy. And I even thought about it. Probably I could swim, to this island in front. But no, there's no way, because in April, Sweden, it's still freezing cold. I had the thick winter jacket, as well as we had 2 huge backpacks. So I thought about, with my rational mind, again, like, Arisa, there's no way to swim back. So just chill out, just spend 3 hours in this island. So, but in the end, it's not like I was not able to go back to the main island, right? Someone rescued us, of course, because I gave a call to catch the last ship. But yeah, my entire journey was like totally like ruined. We were supposed to, like discovering like 2 to 3 islands to have nice, beautiful photos to conclude, like our nice vacation over there. But, it didn't end up in this way. So based on, this extreme example, you can tell if I had the great UI and UX, then maybe like today on this stage, I was probably like giving you a story like, hey, this much like nice experience I had. Maybe you should also, take this example into your projects. But it turned out, no, it's totally opposite. So your users will feel emotional depending on what kind of UI and UX you give it to them. But let's not forget that I just didn't come here to, share this extreme I lost in an island story. I'm here to show you how you can, improve your UI and UX in this talk more precisely with the content management system. So let's transition, this example and story into your favorite technologies you use. And this is my example. So let's take a look at from the front-end framework. Sorry, not front-end framework only, because Remix is actually a full-stack web framework. So, but for this case, for the front-end, I chose the Remix because it's fast and resilient. And I'm going to show you later on more approaches, why exactly I chose Remix, because as you can see in here, I'm not doing anything too difficult. But for those of you who are still new to Remix, wondering what is Remix, I just wanted to give you a quick, info how they're really fast and resilient. I'm more used to, like in here, I'm just, like starting up the local host, but in here, I'm doing, like nothing complicated, but I'm more used to, like wait for a little bit longer, even have enough time to get up from the seat, go into the kitchen, boil the water to make a coffee or tea, and when I come back, oh, finally, it's ready. But Remix doesn't give you this time at all. So, and you're gonna see even more like how Remix considered, for you developers to have the better experience while you're developing and for the users as well. So moving on to the headless CMS. So I chose Storyblok, but I know, a couple of you might have wondered, like, didn't she introduce, like in the beginning, she works at Storyblok? Yes, I work at Storyblok, but that's not just because of the reason, because even if I wouldn't work at Storyblok, I would still choose, because first of all, by choosing the Storyblok by default, when, for example, your content editors ask you, like, hey, can you implement the feature like in the editor, like what you see is what you get, because they like to, catch up some trend stuff. If they come up and ask me about that, I can tell them, like, hey, we chose Storyblok, so it's already there. You can use it already from now on. And the second reason why I chose Storyblok is because, first of all, not just you developers, but by default, every single one of the person who has access to your Storyblok projects, they will be able to have the benefits for being able to use the reusable component approach. Means that you don't have to worry about, like, oh God, how many duplicated components and necessary components your content editors are going to create. No, you don't have to worry about it, because simply they just can combine these defined components like the Lego. So you only can maintain and have the very minimalistic numbers of the components. And Storyblok is based on, by the way, the atomic design methodology, means that by defining only minimal numbers of the component, plus you will be able to use nested components. Means there's no level limitations to nest around. So before I forget, because I easily tend to forget and jump around the topics, here's actually a quick tutorial if you're interested in to test it out in your environment, to let's say testing out Remix and Storyblok from a scratch, because later on I'm going to show you the demo quickly based on that. So here's the tutorial, and it's supposed to be 5 minutes. So if you're interested in, now is the time to make a photo in there. But don't worry if you have missed. I already shared my slides in the platform in the beginning, in the opening that you saw. So you can take your time to take a look at it later on. And of course, not to forget, here's my demo repo. So if you're interested in, and I believe you are, because it's in our nature to test it out, whatever new things that you figured out, you can get access to here to just simply clone or fork and to test it out, what I'm going to show you from now on. So moving on to the fun part. Demo. So for the first couple of steps, I'm going to show you how you can connect between Remix and Storyblok. Because first of all, these two different technologies, these do not have the connections yet, but we are going to enable the connection in between with only 3 steps. And later on, we are going to, or I'm going to show you how you can improvise or even develop your projects to be the blog. So we are going to implement a few features together. So the first step, it's not too complicated. You just need to execute these 2 command lines. And first of all, you're going to, or you need to have the Remix project from scratch, but not to worry, just execute an npx create Remix at like this. then it will give you a couple of questions. You just need to hit yes, 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 and choose the right options. And then after that, you can install one SDK that is provided from Storyblok side, Storyblok React. That's it. And first step is already completed. Step 2 is even easier. I have generated the magic link. I hope it's going to load, but while it's giving a loading, let's see. Okay, I can already start to explain. So basically what I wanted to show you is that you don't have to worry about to carefully watch this video, even if it doesn't work. And sometimes it doesn't play, although I configured as autoplay. Anyway, the point is you don't have to configure all the dynamic components that you will need for this blog project. Instead, just don't think about it. Just click this link or take a take a photo of this QR code, and you do not have to, like copy and imitate what I'm going to show you in here. Sorry that it didn't load. I'm gonna move on to the next. Somehow today, instead of the fire alarm, it's a bit glitchy. Okay, so we are already at the final step. Let's add the preview API key token that are provided from Storyblok side. You can easily find from the settings screen, nothing difficult. But I want you to pay attention that there are two APIs that are coming from Storyblok React SDK. So by installing, importing the Storyblok init and API plugin, you're going to tell Storyblok that, hey, I want to use the Storyblok API, and I also want to initialize it. And then after that, you can add your API key token into the access token property over there, then you're good to go. I'm not going to talk about this components props, because it would make more sense to take a look at together later on. So we already completed the very first fundamental to create the connection between Storyblok and Remix. So now we can improvise a little bit more and have fun. So we are going to enable two features. First feature is going to be, we are going to create the logic to render the dynamic components. So whichever kind of components that your content editors are going to, define, like, oh, I want to nest, first of all, inside of the grid, and there should be like the features, etc. You don't have to worry about to help them 24/7. They can do that by themselves if you implement this feature. And the second feature would be like, we are going to enable the so-called what you see is what you get, means real-time visual editing feature for the editors. And to do that, we are going to call the three APIs, again, that are coming from Storyblok React SDK. But the first one, we can already skip, because we already discovered together. So moving on to the second one, Storyblok component. So by calling the Storyblok component, you will already have the logic to render. If there are dynamic components, then we want to render. If not, simply don't render. So you do not have to, build such kind of logic on your end to increase, just the numbers of unnecessary source code files. So moving on to the last one, Storyblok editable. But this one would be a little bit easier if we take a look at together the source code example. So I'm going to show you two examples in here. First one is the template component file. Means that you're going to apply this layout to multiple pages instead of creating every single time different page template component files. And after this slide, you're going to see together with me a little bit smaller scale of the components, means nested components. So starting from the template component file. So here I gave a name as a page, and then here, as I promised you before, we're going to take a look at together how the Storyblok editable works to enable the real-time visual editing feature. So first of all, make sure to wrap whichever components that you want to make it, real-time in this page template. By doing so, you're going to simply enable the real-time editing feature, and then after that, what your users would benefit would be like if they want to change the orders of the components with just simply click and drag and drop, they can do that. And here on the right-hand side of the screen, with the screenshot is the content editor's perspective. So for them, we also have the better UI. Again, this talk is about a better UI and a UX. They can already see or even can define which kind of type of the component they want to use or define. In this case, you see a Storyblok terminology called content type over here, but this is equivalent to the page template. And on the more right-hand side, there is this special field type called blocks. Sorry if it's a little bit too small to see over there. So this special field type will enable you and everyone to be able to nest whichever kind of components that they want to structure this template, page template component. And if you're a developer, you might have wondered like, okay, I got the concept, but why she already knows that she can map the rest of the dynamic components? If you have wondered, it's a really good point. So here's the perspective for developers. Even in the same screen, from what you saw together, what the content editors will look like. And here, from the same screen, you can actually have this JSON file available in one screen. So here's the data path that we need. So we can see that, okay, the data path starts from story over there, and then there's the content, okay? Inside of the content, there is the body, and body is coming from, actually, from the previous slide, where we gave a name to this special, went to the next one. This special field type, we gave a name as body, and that's what it's coming from. So inside of the body, you can see that, okay, there's a teaser, and there are a couple of more objects are coming. So it means that this body is the key. And if you see this array, square brackets, means that inside of this special blocks field type, you can store whichever kind of dynamic components, as an array object. That's why I already knew that I can map. So we already have a quite good fundamental of how you can, let's say, render in the end what kind of dynamic components. So moving on to another example. So this is the nested component file. So to render this teaser component inside of the template files, remember we defined first of all from the templates, and here we have the two field types, that is headline and the image. So of course we want to make these field types to be editable as well. When your content editors are going to type out the text, we want them to see in a real time the text are being typed out one by one. So that's why I am wrapping with the Storyblok editable, and this special block prop holds the beginning of the data path that we saw together in the previous slides, starting from story, content, body, so that we do not have to repeatedly, writing the same all the way of the data path for every single component files. All right, here's the final step to render these dynamic files, components. And we are importing these teaser and page components. And then in the end, here's the thing. I kept the explanation of this components up until this time, because now we have a better idea of what I am, storing, these names of the components. So that's the final step. You have to just store the technical name and the components, component names of what you define so far. Now we were able to render all the dynamic components, as you can see in here, and to change the orders of regardless of the levels, how deep it's nested. You can easily do that on the fly. And as you saw before, there's the text has been changed on the fly. I hope. So, sorry it took longer, but congrats. We have enabled the visual editor feature together. Yes, but here's the huge but. I want to give you a little question to you. How many of you think that we so far already have the way to handle the dynamic routes? How many of you think we already have this solution at this point? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. You're right. I shouldn't see many more hands raised up in here because we haven't yet implemented yet. And here it comes the remix part. So from now on, I want you to choose from two options, which option you want to give to your users. So First of all, here's option A. As Edo introduced me in the beginning, I really hate the zombie because it doesn't make sense at all. So it means that I really don't like the things, doesn't make sense at all, and users also. So if you want to give option A, do you think your users would be happy to make them, first of all, let them use to open the text editors and to see all these bunch of source code? How many of you want to give this option A? No, there's no way, because they might mess up as well. So moving on to option B. So we probably want to choose this option because, first of all, we want to allow users to do that, all of these from the UI. And how many of you would agree with me? I hope I see more hands coming up. Yes, thank you. That means a lot to me. So we are on the same page. So here's the thing. As I told you before, I'm going to show you how Remix already considered about this case and the user experience. So not just for developers, they have considered how they will be, how they can, offer the content editors to handle all these kind of complex of the dynamic routes. So I chose this time to use these splat routes. But again, as Remix considered, they have bunch of other way to handle the dynamic, routes handling. So if you find something, other options will fit you. Choose the way you want to choose, but this one will give you the most flexible way. So to use the splat routes, basically we also want to enable nested dynamic route structure. And to do that, we can create, first of all, one single file, which you can give a name as the single $. Sorry if it's too small. By doing so, you're going to tell Remix that, hey, I want to use the splat routes. And if you're going to use the different, route handling approach, the file name would look different. So that is quite important. And first of all, I want you to pay attention to only 4 lines instead of all these. So first one would be first two would be 2 APIs that are provided from the Remix side. And the last one would be only the green lines of highlighted code. So moving on to the first one. So first one is called use loader data. So by calling this use loader data, it means that you're going to tell Remix that, hey, I want to return the JSON parse data from loader function. And this loader function is a backend API, again, coming from Remix. So compared to the use loader data, this is a client side of the API. Remix has the backend API, in this case called loader function. And this loader function is already wired up through the use loader data. Again, this is the client side of the API. And later on, you can define the response, headers, etc. But if you, define these kind of way of response, we are quite sure that it's going to be more than 4 lines of the code. But Remix already considered about that. So instead of doing that, why not to just do this by using one-liner-ish approach. So here's the JSON. This is also, again, another API that is provided from Remix. So here's the in-depth of how you can handle the dynamic nested routes. So Remix, again, considered for your user experience for developers, they have the special parameter called params. And more precisely, with using these params and with the square brackets and with the string value of the asterisk, if you use console.log to log this value out, when you're moving back and forth different pages, you're gonna see every kind of nested routes are going to be, return. So you do not have to create such kind of complex or complicated logic on your end. Instead, just use on-the-fly APIs from Remix. So if you also want to handle, after you're going to maybe create, or when you want to create, let's say contact / follow me, these kind of nested, routes, here is what you also can do that. But I'm not going to talk about too much detail because that's not Remix side. So another side of the demo part, thank God this time works. So I'm going to, first of all, test it out by creating non-nested routes. So I'm going to create the contact page in this case. And here is the teaser or feature, whichever I define. And I'm going to fill out the value inside and there and choose the image. Why not? beautiful Verona city photo, and here is the contact me. Okay, so non-nested dynamic route works so far. What about the nested dynamic routes? I'm going to create the nested routes that is going to start from gallery, and then inside and there, it's going to follow / my gallery. So for your content editors, they're not writing any calls at all at this point. All they're doing is that following what is like showing in this user interface from the Storyblok, because you already built the fundamental by using the approach from the remix. So your content editors just simply can, choose the name of a folder to store the relevant whatever kind of pages that are going to be, dynamic nested routes. Then they have all the contents available. So I hope we were able to see together, how better UX and UI will give, happy, feeling to you all developers, as well as for your content editors who are going to work every single day in their daily life to manage the content. So based on that, I want to insist that good UI and UX, this will give everyone for the fast, smooth, and organized experience. Who doesn't want to have it? I guess everyone want to have it in the end, right? And to wrap up my talk, so I hope we're on the same page to agree with that. So you can, we saw together how I frustrated, but then was able to go back to the main island in the end. So from this, we can tell that, yeah, even though the UI and UX are bad, in the end of the day, you can actually achieve what you wanted to have. But the thing is, I know the over 30% of the webs in the world are still, powered by the monolithic. But I want to give heads up in here. Do you think your users are having nice experience and working comfortably to maintain the projects? Maybe they're frustrating. Maybe they're even considering about to change the companies. You don't want them to feel in that way, right? So I want to let me ask you this final question to finish my talk. So which experience do you want to give to yourself and your users? Do you want to feel happy and motivated to work on together in your projects, in your team, or do you want it to be all depressed together? That would be all from my side. Oh, thank God I was able to finish my talk without any more hassles. Thank you so much, and I hope you're going to enjoy the rest of the day in the reactjsday Verona.
Thank you, Arisa. Thank you. Don't worry about live. Shit happens. Okay.
Yeah.
We have time for just one question. So if anyone has one question for Arisa. No. One question.
Great talk. Okay, working. Great talk. Thanks, Arisa.
Thank you.
My question is Remix able to split client bundle based on the splat pages, or can I lazy load the component? Because if I have 300 components, but I use one in one page, I don't want to load all the components.
Okay, I think I got your question. So you mean that you want only, first of all, prioritize to render the components that you're going to use, but the rest of the not used components you don't want to preload, right? From the Remix approach, first of all, Remix works with the SSR. So it's different from what Next.js or Gatsby or the other frameworks are giving you the approaches such as SSG or ISR or different static generations, things like that. So I would say with SSR, you do not have to too much worry about it because anyway, it's going to work faster. But probably I would say Remix error handling might give a little bit of extra better experience for the users if, let's say, some of the components are not being loaded ready yet. But first of all, by choosing the Remix, you're going for the SSR option. So probably the concerns that you need to worry about, okay, which components I should prioritize to preload, things like that, it would be less. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Thank you, Arisa.